Hey, it's me, Travis of Giggles and Bits, and I'm live. As I mentioned uh, in a comment on the notification that I sent out on Twitter, Tam is not going to be able to make it. She is a very, very busy woman, and I actually woke her up just to check with her to make sure she was still coming on. Glad I did because I would have updated it much later than I normally would have, than I did today. Anyways, normally it's only the third episode, but anyways, here we are. We are. Sorry, I just got an alert on my phone. I wanted to make sure it wasn't something important. Let's get started. This is Saturday afternoon. This is pop culture and entertainment news, and let's get going. There's something a bit strange going on. I think we're all quite aware. I'm gonna move the camera over just a smidge. I think we're all quite aware. Oh, you can see the tools that I was using to put up the shelves. I'm a mess. It's been a crazy work week. But yeah, let's get into this real quick. And all sorts of crazy things going on right now. Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that sort of layout there. That's neat. Okay. So Jeanette McCurdy, if you know who she is. It's not this guy here. That's Russian foreign minister. New York Post just likes to play random videos. Um, has I guess, an autobiography coming out soon, and she's been doing interviews. So the former child star Jeanette McCurdy is getting candid about the abuses she reportedly suffered as a Nickelodeon star in 2000s. McCurdy, 30, it rhymes. Detailed many of the problems she faced appearing on her hit TV show iCarly in her upcoming memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. And apparently she was a very controlling woman. So, including one alleged incident where she was photographed in a bikini as a teen during a wardrobe fitting. Ooh, that's crazy. The shoot with an unidentified person with whom she called the creator. It's probably, I have an article pulled up on that guy. Everyone wants what you have, Deborah reportedly told her. Her mom is Deborah. Um, yeah, so she basically, in this interview, she talks a little bit about the stuff that's in her book. Her whole childhood and adolescence were very exploited, McCurdy told the New York Times ahead of the memoir's release on August 9th. It gives my nervous system a reaction to say it. There were cases where people had the best intentions and maybe didn't know what they were doing, and also cases where they did, I guess assuming they did know what they were doing, and they knew exactly they knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah, she says it right there. So, yeah, so there's this they go into several things, like Ariana Grande, uh, and this is the cover to her book. It's um it's pretty sad that we keep getting stories like this coming from former Nickelodeon stars. I guess I should say, right? So, and she's not the first one. I mean, like I don't know necessarily. There's been several people that have come forward, but and it all seems to come back to this guy, uh, Dan Schneider. This is from 2021, where he addressed the allegations, claims that it was innocent, is taken out of context. People on social media, they take clips and snips and all these things and out of context to make it look like the show was as bad as it actually was way worse than it actually was, and it was all very fairly innocent, I'd say, but there was a lot of foot stuff. There's a lot of foot stuff, and the clip that I'm about to show you is actually from another channel. This is from Miss Mojo, top 10 cringiest Nickelodeon scenes ever, and this is the first one. So let's blow this up a smidge and take a look at this. Yeah, very strange. Very, very strange. Um, it gets worse as we go along. There's several, like, yeah, kids petting feet. Ariana Grande, I think at one point was sucking on her own toes. It's just very, very strange, very strange, and I felt uncomfortable looking that crap up. So he says that it was all innocent, and but there are a number of accusations that came out from this period of time, and yeah, he claims that he took a break to get away from everything because he was just pumping out so many shows. I'm sure staring at all those young girls' feet probably made him all sweaty and everything. So I I don't know if it's all 100% true. This is just rumors, stuff, things that people have brought to light, and it's very disturbing. It's very, very, very disturbing to see some of these clips from back in the day from this individual. And but yeah, but I don't know how else to approach it. I was really hoping Tam could shed some light on this because it's creepy to me, and I wonder if it's creepy to her. And I think she has mentioned this stuff a few times before, and it's we'll get into that. It's very given with everything that's going on right now with the huge push from uh, groups of people that are intent on manipulating individuals, I'm putting it that way, it's very disturbing. And this stuff has been going on for a long time. And I feel like all of that stuff just sort of emboldened these groups to more openly express their longing for a certain type of person. And that is highly inappropriate. Highly inappropriate. I hate having to skirt around this, but there are a number of more prominent individuals. I mean, at this point right now, where I am with this YouTube channel, there's everyone's more prominent than I am. So you can't help but uh, feel a little bit cautious when talking about this stuff and broaching it. There's a definitely, I mean, I feel like we've all felt like there's definitely been a sickness in Hollywood with the way that actors and actresses are treated behind the scenes, the way they're sexualized. I mean, you hear some of the stories about Jerry Ryan from Voyager, who played Seven of Nine. The It's horrifying what happened to her, and she was a prominent actress. Um, how often does that happen? It happens often enough that we keep hearing about it, and that's a concern. That's sad, and unfortunately, we turned a blind eye to that because whatever these people do in their private lives was sort of like we leave it to themselves, but now this stuff is seeping into our culture, and we're seeing it spill into schools, and it's spilling everywhere else, and we're finding ourselves caught off guard. Uh, my family, I feel like they think that I'm kind of they I feel like they think that I've sort of gone a little off the deep end when I talk about this stuff and how much these events uh, keep popping up. These things inside of our culture, whether it be written, animated, live action, music, it it's seeped in everywhere. And whereas conservatives in the 80s and early 90s were way more aware of what was going on, and they railed and rallied against some of the things that were happening at that time. That group has largely gone uh, silent the past decade or so. And I think it's time that those people start to wake up and we start getting the more and more groups. It can't just be the nerds, it can't just be us speaking out against this and raising a stink about it because we're just one segment and easily dismissed just because of um, the amount of the type of content that we're interested in, but we're seeing it everywhere. It's not just superhero movies and comic books, and it's not just cartoons on Cartoon Network. It's not just Nickelodeon and their children's series from back in the mid 2000s. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in your music, it's in your books. You can't escape it. It's on TV. It's everywhere, and it's in our schools. It's in our school curriculums. Um, it's in our books for classes on subjects, and we have to wake up to that. We have to be overtly aware. And unfortunately, if you become aware now and you start to see it, you're gonna you're gonna be shocked because you're gonna see it everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And you're not you're the downside of that is because you're uh, new to noticing these things. I found this myself, speaking from experience. You start to see it everywhere. So is that really woke? Uh, that's being injected into the show, or is it just a terrible show? And that's something that I've been working on separating for myself, so that I can try to enjoy stuff a little bit more instead of just trying to look for these SJW messaging and narrative. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's there's a sick culture out there, and the stuff that happened to uh, Jeanette McCurdy is, I don't think, an isolated incident, and it's not something that's unique just to Nickelodeon. I think it's something definitely very pervasive inside the culture that is um, television, film in general, just all the way around. Um, it's very, very sad. Very, very sad. That's a good article. It's a good read. I don't know anything about the book. She does say something in here about Tom Hanks, and there's a lot of rumors about how there was a bunch of rumors that got started about how Tom Hanks moved to Greece to avoid um, pedophilia charges and all sorts of crap. I don't like. There's no. All of that is just rumors. There's nothing to solidify that. She does mention something in here about Tom Hanks in that regard, and I'm a little hesitant to even read that section because the quote itself seems like it's taken out of context and doesn't quite fit in. And if you read the comments from other people, it is sort of just like everyone else just sort of feels like it's just kind of tossed in. But yeah, that's I thought that was very interesting. Little interesting story, and another sad chapter to be added to Nickelodeon. So let's jump into this. So I revealed this a little bit earlier. So Anne Heche, this happened just recently. Just recently. Anne Heche is expected to pull through. Her ex, Thomas Jane, reveals the actress is in stable condition in the ICU after she drunkenly plowed through a house at 90 miles an hour and spent 30 minutes in a burning car before being rescued by 59 firefighters. It took 59 firefighters. She's not that big of a person, but they had to move her car. I'm just kidding. They used a my wife's coming home. They're using a they used the crane to pull her car, not the fireman. But yeah, she's so quick highlights here. Thomas Jane 53 has paid tribute to his ex, and Heche 53 following a car crash on Friday morning in LA. Thoughts and prayers are with Anne, one of the true talents of her generation. Thank God no one else was hurt, Jane said in a statement. Jane and Heche were involved with one another back in 2020. That's more about that. Okay. So let's jump into this. This is very crazy. So here's pictures and photos. This photo was taken after she ran into a apartment complex garage. Is what it looked like. or townhome. Maybe it was like a townhome garage section. But anyways, there's a cluster of garages, and she ran into one of them. This is what she looks like at that time. Uh, you can see the bottle here with her uh, in the seat. That's this photo is very shocking. That's very shocking. She's a very gorgeous person, and she looks really, really rough here. I mean, it's probably mostly the alcohol, but that's, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. So I wanted to show this clip here. Watch how fast she goes by. That sound, that sound, that that was her car just racing by. Let's pull that back. Holy smokes. You can hear the crash there at the end. Holy cow. She was booking, man. She was booking. Look at her car. I'm surprised that car held up as well as it did. I'm glad she's all right. I'm glad she's all right. They're pulling her out, that trying to keep her covered. The sun can still do damage. I mean, you've been in heat and stuff like that. There's all sorts of injuries you can sustain. This is when she hit the. This is right before they took the picture of her inside the car. She crashed into another. She crashed here. You see what I mean? How it looks? Looks like it's uh apartment complex. Maybe I don't know. Um, and then they got this here. This is the house. She went through here, plowed in here, and then the house caught on fire. She's There's this picture here. She's just absolutely gorgeous. Look at all these kids. Gorgeous kids. I like how they include the picture of her in 6 Days, 7 Nights. That movie was terrible. That was a terrible film. This is quite a bit. There's quite a bit extensive footage here. There's some more video. Oh, that's TMZ. No, hell no. You ain't gonna get me on this one, you fuckers. Um, that is just wild, man. That car is just. You wonder what's going on here. I also think, like, if you lived at this house, like, do you find out after do you find out afterwards? Um, you, like, come home, you got all this shit going on, do they notify you when you're at work, or you come home and you're like, "What the hell happened?" You're like, "Yeah, it was Anne Heche. Anne Heche crashed into your house." She's got all sorts of issues. She's, been sort of a bit of a nutty buddy, like, she, like, right after the 6 Days, 7 Nights a movie, she started talking about how she'd been abducted by aliens. She learned an alien language. She said she had an alternate personality in her head named Celeste. I have no idea what the hell happened, but somebody got to her all those years ago and really fucked with her brain. Really, really fucked with her brain. It's very strange. Very strange. Thoughts go out to Anne. I hope you're okay. Hope you get help for whatever issues you're dealing with. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. And what's with Los Angeles and people driving that fast in these residential or like more populated areas? Like there was another really terrible crash that happened. Um, let's get into something a little more hilarious, less serious. Maybe probably a little more serious for this guy. Is that the relay baton Italian decathlete's race is ruined when he has to cover his genitals with his hand after he competed without underwear and kept popping out of his shorts. That's a terrible headline. Um, the way that was written. An Italian decathlete race was ruined when he was forced to slow down and cover his genitals with his hands after he entered the competition without underwear. Alberto Nonino was running the 400-meter race at the 2022 World Athletics U20 Championship in Cali, Colombia, when he experienced the mishap. The 18-year-old Italian started last night's race strong, coming around the first bend in a good position, putting himself well into contention to go on and seal the win. However, it became obvious that he was experiencing discomfort, with footage of the race showing him looking down to check his shorts. It was then that he realized that he had accidentally exposed himself, and while he tried to stay in the race, he had to use his hands to cover himself up. Oh my gosh. Poor guy. That Italian sausage got away from him. Despite Nonino's best efforts, the problem persisted several more times as he ran down the back straight and around the final two bends. But the race was not over yet. As he continued to tuck his manhood into his shorts, he was able to impressively overtake two of his rivals. However, as he reached the final straight, the other runners began to pull away as he was tugging on. Should have asked Jeffrey Tubin, what he should do. Now, maybe not the best person to ask. As the 7 runners covered the final meters, the Italian fell behind and crossed the finish line with a very respectable time of 51.57 seconds. That's pretty fast for having to tuck your junk at 18. According to World Athletics, his 400-meter personal best is 51:12. And see, he was only, he wasn't even a half a second behind what he normally runs. Poor dude. Yeah, he had to. Man, yeah. The the announcer was like, last series of 400-meter decathlon, the Italian Alberto Nonino in lane 5 begins very well, but crosses the finish line last. He had his penis out, literally. That's unfortunate. That's kind of embarrassing for him. It sounds like if you read some of his comments that he gave in an interview afterwards, he was talking about how embarrassing that was. I don't blame him. That's pretty embarrassing. Oh my gosh, I would hate to be in that position. I would hate to be in that position. Oh my gosh, I kind of was in that position once. There was a cross country meet. What was I? I was a I was a junior. Was I a junior or was that? Yeah, I was a junior. I was a junior in cross country, and I went to a cross country meet. Took Man, for some reason, I decided not to wear underwear underneath my running shorts, and yeah, my running shorts were not as effective at covering myself. They were kind of sheer, I guess, and yeah, my junk was all very visible, and it wasn't very impressive, unfortunately. TMI, I know, but I get by. I get by. Oh my gosh, man, I get by. That's pretty interesting. Oh, look at that! I got a viewer. That's interesting. Hi, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you dropping by. Oh man, that green tea is good. That green tea is good. All right, let's go on to the next story, guys. SheHawk director Kat Coro blames criticism of Marvel series CGI on culture belief in its ownership of women's bodies. Um, yeah, I don't think that that's the issue. I think a lot of the issue is, I'm gonna. There is truth to what some uh, experts say in that the when a trailer goes up on YouTube, the compression ratio on YouTube doesn't really allow for a ton of detail to come through. That being said, there is a lot more detail on the skin and the face for She-Hulk. Those aren't necessarily my issues. I don't think that they uh, necessarily running into problems there. What I do have a problem with is some of the comping that was done. It just seems very it doesn't seem like it was done very well, and most of the issues seem to stem around the hair, the way this is done, and her hair just seems very like it's a little too voluminous, if that makes sense. Like they took it up way too much because it seems a little too thick in that area. But in some of these scenes, you can just see where it's very um, she's very poorly like comped into some of these scenes that where there's like these really hard line edges. Like this scene doesn't look too bad as a still. It doesn't look terrible. This one does look bad, and I'm going to point to this corner right here. Let me see if I can. I don't think I can zoom in on this, but right here on this corner, this like sharp edge right here, these sharp lines. These are the things that I have a problem with on some of the special effects. It just seems like they were in a bit of a rush to crop. And then you look at the saturation levels. Like this looks really good when compared to this forefront object here. But when compared to the chair that's behind her, the chair behind her is like is a lot sharper. And then you don't see that same sharpness here or here. The saturation levels are just a little bit off, and those things, like while subtle, stick out, and that's why people complain about stuff. They don't necessarily know exactly why a shot is not working, but that there's just there's little tiny subtle details and things that you can't totally account for that can throw a shot off and make the CGI look worse than it actually is. Even if you put the best effort, if these tiny issues here, this little color gradation, the saturation here is not matching here, then that really throws things off. And it's one of the things that I think really stood out to people when they saw. Well, I'm going to jump back to the first Sonic movie when that trailer came out. Just the some of the color saturation, the way it was comped in, it just didn't the light levels didn't match between areas. There wasn't the proper light, what is it? Light speculation, where the light scatters. It all of those things in all of those things stood out to people while they didn't necessarily know exactly what was wrong. They knew something was wrong. Um, so I'm not going to say that the special effects here is absolutely terrible. It's not. I think the special effects is not the best, but there's clearly some uh, issues, and you're going to see that more in the more in motion as the when the show comes out, we get an actual full look. Now, oh, another thing that has been being complained about is how much her body shape changes. And apparently, that all stems from an issue with where they tried to make her as big as possible, and that just wasn't jiving well with anybody. Um, and so they worked to make her smaller. But in the process of trying to thin her down, some of the proportions and dimensions of her body didn't, and so that looks like a bit of a rush job when it comes to that, making her body shape seem awkward and uneven at different times. Because I mean, there's like see right here, this shot looks fine. That looks really really good. Uh, this still looks all right. It again, it's like when it comes to getting in motion, how do things look? Those are the things that we're going to look at. That that we would take a look at when the show actually comes out. Am I going to watch this? No, I'm not going to watch this. My sister might watch it, and I'll check out her opinion once she checks this out. But I was excited about this. I love She-Hulk. I thought she was a fantastic character in the comics until they decided to roid her out and just make her the male version of or the female version of Hulk. That was terrible. And but Yeah, I mean, I think there was one person. Who was it? I think it was somebody on. Was it Mahler's stream or was it Critical Drinkers? I can't. I'm not sure, but there was. I can't remember exactly who said it, but there's almost no reason to make She-Hulk a completely digital person. They very easily could have gotten a female basketball player and brought her in as a stand-in. that's about the size that She-Hulk is in the comics that people actually enjoy. So they could have gone the practical effects route, done a little CGI with the face. I think that all probably would have been a lot easier. I mean, there's positives and negatives to doing that. You have to track the actor's body, and uh, that would be a lot of manual tracking. But I don't know what the trade off would be. They've already put in so much work. It's that's a tough one to say which would have been the better route. But I think I would have gone that way, having an actual actress uh, be physically on set for a lot of these scenes, and then done a composition match to put a CGI head on the body, so that we get the uh, what's her name, Tatiana. We can uh, get her face on there. But that's just my thoughts, man. That's my thoughts. Let's jump into this hellscape that is Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power. I will be watching this. Unfortunately, I say that unfortunately because I feel like I'm going to be tortured by this. So when it comes to Tolkien, what I know about Tolkien, uh, as far as like my expertise, is not very much. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything, or for that matter, anything. I've read part of the first book. I can't remember why I didn't finish it. I think the movie came out before I could finish it, and then it'll take me a while. I'll go back to it. I'll read the books. I want to. I just finished the Bulgariad, but yeah, I'll jump on I'll jump on reading these at some point in time. Um, Now, my issue is continuity within the context of what I do know about it. I'm not going to hammer or harp on that a whole lot. There are some things that I think are very strange, like this fade haircut that he has. Like the haircuts just don't seem very like fantasy. Like it's either cut short, or it's messy, or it's long and kept up well, and it's never a fade. I don't know. That's very strange. So I bring this article up because it sounds like they did reach out to Peter Jackson for his help on the Rings of Power, but after they reached out to him, they never got back to him. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. So, first appearing in Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter podcast, Jackson told host Scott Feinberg that Amazon asked me if I wanted to be involved. And I said, that's an impossible question to answer without seeing the script. So they said, as soon as we get the first couple of scripts, we'll send them to you, he detailed, and the scripts never showed up. That's the last thing I heard, which is fine. No complaints at all. That armor. I don't understand the point of having this look like this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry. All sorts of issues. Oh, look, it's Eminem. Later joining THR, Later joining THR writer Kim Masters on the Business Podcast, Jackson reiterated about 4 or 5 years ago they asked if I would be interested in it. So I said, have you got the scripts yet? Because I know how hard the scripts were to write for the films, and I didn't know the people writing their scripts, the director explained. They said, oh, no, we haven't got the scripts yet, but as soon as we do, we'll send you the scripts. So I was waiting for the scripts to arrive, and they never did. So he said this twice in two different locations. And says that they basically ghosted him. They never ever got back to him. Why? I don't know. He doesn't speculate as to why, which is a good thing. I'm not going to speculate as to why, which is also a good thing. It's not good to speculate because there's not enough to infer. We have plenty of stuff from everywhere else with regards to what these showrunners have said and done, supposedly going back to the books, uh, trying to keep things as Tolkien as possible, but very clearly there are things that just aren't, according to others, very Tolkien in how they delivered it, which is understandable, um, given uh, the amount of information that Tolkien actually put out there for us, whether it be notes, letters, um, the Silmarillion and the various other books that he read. I've read most of the Silmarillion, funny enough. I've read more of the Silmarillion than I've read of um, the actual books. I should probably rectify that now that I think about that more and more. Jackson's recent recollections notably line up with the interview he gave at Metro in 2018. Here's a um, uh, third instance. Yeah, I mean this man, this show it looks very very expensive. The few clips that I have seen that have popped up on Twitter are not giving me a whole lot of confidence with regards to um, how this show is going to play out. The dialogue seems very uh, one dimensional. From what I've seen, the fight scene, the one little fight scene that I saw, just there's some flair that's in there, and I don't really understand the flair. And my voice just cracked because I'm 14 years old. Ignore the gray. I'm just not going through puberty. Any day now, my balls will drop, and it will be glorious. To emphasize that, I'm again, I'm not an expert, so this I'm resting on the OneRing.com, who took it upon themselves uh, to edit this and put this up. Okay, I gotta play this. The Tolkien cut. I'm sorry. It just keeps doing that. It just keeps doing that. Every time there's something that's not Tolkien, according to OneRing.com, we get the please stand by. Oh my gosh, that is so good. That is so good. On top of people making fun of this, the Entertainment Weekly character reveals, that this is just too good, man. It's too good. My gosh, this shit is just glorious. Oh man. Eh, I thought that was uh man, yeah, this is gonna be meme gold. And I wish I knew how to meme, but I'm more boomer than millennial, I guess. But this is not going to be a great this yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping that my lack of Tolkien knowledge will make the show better, but I'm also looking at, I mean, I personally am looking at performances. I'm looking at delivery. I'm looking at the other things that make a show great, not just the source material or how faithful they are to the source material, because I'm incapable of doing that. I'm incapable of doing that. I don't know that much about Tolkien, so I don't know if Lofty's correct uh, in his assertions that everything is true to Tolkien the way he claims. Others seem to think differently. Lady Gravemaster seems to think this is an absolute uh, atrocity of a television series. The amount of money that they put into this is crazy. It is absolutely crazy how much money they've put into this, and it just doesn't seem very. It just doesn't seem very good. I'm sorry. It's just not the what clips I have seen are just not instilling any sort of confidence in this show. And I'm trying to pull up. I'm gonna see if I can pull up a one of the clips that I saw. It's just very is very poorly done. These these showrunners have put their foots in their mouths uh, over and over and over again, to the point that it's we have enough to go on that they decidedly took it upon themselves to fill in the gaps of the history of Tolkien and the world of Middle Earth to create what they wanted. I think the way they did this was, while they weren't able to necessarily um, nail down the purchase for the content of the actual books themselves, they were only able to get a few things um, as far as distribution rights. This is a half-assed attempt at doing it, and there's a reason why Tolkien fans are not happy, and there's a reason why I'm hesitant to feel like this is going to be good. But I wanted to show this real quick. This this video cracked me up, man. It cracked me up. Shout out to Quarter Black Garrett for putting this together. That just worked out so well. That worked out way better than I thought than I thought it would. Holy crap. No, it's very funny. Like the people have been putting up all sorts of different things. As came up with a really good one for a hair product line, and the Young and the Restless, like that thing popped up. Now I did hear that before Quarterback Garrett put this video together. It was another individual on Literature Devils Morning Nonsense, and I can't remember which guest it was, but they had mentioned that, this particular thing. Like, this was the vibes that they were getting off of the trailer from Entertainment Weekly. Holy crap, man! That is just so stupid. That shit is so dumb. Fuck me. All right, let's get into this fucking crap, man. I recorded a whole video about this, and yeah, I ended up just having to scrap that idea about posting that video because it really pissed me off. All right, so Fiona Shaw describes new Star Trek series Andor as great scurrilous take on the Trumpian world. Says showrunner created a whole new morality. So many fucking things wrong with that. So for one, we're looking at a we're looking at a television series that nobody really asked for or wanted, about a character that was, I guess, featured in the movie Rogue One, and ultimately we know is going to die because he's not so much of a great person. So he had a redemption arc in there because he was a spy who was willing to kill his sources in the movie Rogue One, and but in that movie he learns to believe in something greater than himself. So we're getting a show about him before that happened. So he's just a spy willing to ruin everybody and get started. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to make of the possibilities of that premise for a show. But given that the show is created and gives this actress the impression that the show is a scurrilous take on a world as if Trump had been in charge, makes me say things like, I can't quit you when thinking of how these people go about their daily lives. So, according to Lucasfilm, Andor is described as a series that explores new perspective from the Star Wars galaxy, focused on Cassian Andor's journey to discover the difference he can make. The series brings forward the tale of a burgeoning rebellion against the Empire and how people and planets became involved. Oh my gosh. So Shaw, in an interview with, I think I was Empire, says that Tony Gilroy has written a great scurrilous take on the Trumpian world. Our world is exploding in different places right now. People's rights are disappearing, and Andor reflects that. In the show, the Empire is taking over, and it feels like the same thing is happening in reality too. That like Trump was voted out of office. You guys won. you know, if you Trump was defeated and all for all intents and purposes, okay, with the of the election, you guys set out to remove Trump from office, and you did. You voted him out, and you got Dum Dum in there. I'm gonna call him Dum Dum because he's been a disaster. If I could say anything positive uh, about our president, it would be that at least he hasn't shit himself on live television. Good for you. Other than that, he's managed to suck on his wife's finger, aimlessly wander around the White House. They keep, he adopted a dog, took a bunch of photos with it, but then when the dog became too much to handle, he just gave him up, and then got a new dog, a puppy, because having a rescue was too much work, and they couldn't handle it. There are so many fucking things wrong with that guy. But no mean tweets. No mean tweets. I got off track. So, anyways, she later goes on to say, I was impressed by Tony's social realist intentions. She also revealed that he created a whole new morality. A whole new morality, guys. A whole new morality. Morals are constantly changing. But what's moral is always moral, and what's immoral is immoral? I don't know. Like, what is a new morality? What is a new morality? Are you saying that you're justifying, like, there's things that happen in the show that are justified because the ends justify the means? Because we've had that discussion before in several topics in the past. Why wouldn't that why would that be something new? I don't understand this whole new morality that's very deep and humane. There's a grief, mourning, hope, fear. It's not just primary colors here. Well, that's stupid. Like, is it morality? Is it colors? I don't understand. She's using analogies, but she's using them at a detriment to her ability to clarify her comments. Uh, man, it's this show just. I wasn't interested in the show to begin with. I wasn't going to watch it, but it's going to be on Disney Plus. Maybe Tamara will watch it. Maybe Tam will watch it. Maybe she'll watch it. We will see. So Tony said, in some cases, well, he's out. Let me read his whole stupid quote here. He told Vanity back in May, there are certain events that happen in these 5 years that are important and need to be paid attention to. There are certain people, characters that are legacy characters. There are certain people, characters that are legacy characters. I should read it that way and pay attention to the punctuation. That the audience, the passionate audience, really feels they have an understanding of and know, because they do. They do understand and know these characters because they've been reading these characters in books and comic books, going back to the 80s when these books and comic books were being produced and created and signed off by George Lucas, who wanted to make sure that there was continuity and no character assassination of any of the characters that he personally created. He went through great lengths to make sure that the content that was being put out there was consistent. So, yes, these people who have spent decades learning, loving, and getting to know these characters do know and understand them because they have spent ample time with them as opposed to what you've done. Okay? In some cases, they're right. And in some cases, what we're saying is what you know, what you've been told, what's on Wikipedia, what you've been telling each other is really all wrong, he then relayed. It's like, in some cases, you guys are right. In other cases, you're totally fucking wrong. You're totally fucking wrong. And we're going to tell you that. We're going to tell you how wrong you guys have been because we're the experts. Gilroy then added, it's upside down, or it's sideways, or it's opposite of what you thought was true. He's not describing an orgy that he got monkeypox and just kidding, he didn't get monkeypox. He's not gay. I don't know if he's gay. I shouldn't have said that. Oh well, it's live. We're rolling with it. Or it's a way more interesting than you had ever thought. Or it's a lie and there's a reason for it. I would say that there's some surprises in store. He then specifically referenced Mon Mothma and her role in the 4th episode of the show. I bet when that episode's 104 plays, when Mon Mothma finishes the episode, that there will be people tweeting about Mon Mothma. There's a big reveal coming about Mon Mothma. We need to be ready for, guys. She wasn't really the leader of the rebellion. She was a double agent. And she was T'Challa. Yeah, she was T'Challa. She was the king of Wakanda the entire time. It's a crossover episode, guys. Get ready. Get ready. Yeah. Yeah, we're really passionate about it. We were very excited about the shows, about the movies, and then you guys continued to prove that you were incapable of making Star Wars because you don't really understand the characters that are involved. And that is the truth of the matter. That is the truth of the matter. Why so many fans have walked away from Star Wars or screaming into the heavens or screaming into their cameras on YouTube because these aren't the characters that we grew up with. I mean, yeah, I mean you've brought the actors back. You are presenting those characters on screen, but ultimately the way you've presented them is different from what we grew up reading, watching, and exploring. So, yeah, of course we're going to be upset. I mean, we fell in love with these characters. We fell in love with these franchises. And each time that something betrays those characters, pops up on screen or in this new Disney Star Wars universe that they're creating, more and more so, they feel like they have to go back and tear down these classic characters, these legends, and rip them apart because they're incapable of creating new characters for their new audience to identify with in a way that Disney can monetize. Because I doubt they're really making any money off of this. They're probably hemorrhaging money off of a lot of this. So I don't know. That's it. That's it. That's where I've got. Those are all the stories that I wanted to cover, and I was able to get through them a lot faster than I normally would because, well, it's just me. If Tam had been here, she could have provided her opinion and stretched this out. But uh, that's okay. You know, it's rare. It's rare that I get to wrap up soon, and I'm kind of excited about doing. But hopefully Tamara can come back next week, and we can get her get her viewpoints on some things, and it'll be a lot more fun. And I just realized that my royalty-free music wasn't playing in the background the entire time, so hopefully it wasn't too unbearable with no background stuff. So if you guys like to stream, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Um, just like with the other 2 episodes, once this is done and it's uploaded to YouTube, I'll download it and get it uploaded to my other podcast, Nobody's Thoughts, which is available on a number of platforms. You can find it on Spotify or Apple, and I think it's also on the Google Play Store, as well as Anchor and a few other places. So just look up Nobody's Thoughts on those, and you'll find those podcasts, and you'll also see some of my uh, older podcasts that I did about a year and a half ago. And so But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I was thinking about streaming tonight, but I'm gonna actually go catch Bullet Train with my friend tonight. And once that's done, I will probably set up my camera on my in my car, and I'll do a quick review as I'm driving back what I think about that movie. I've been hearing good things, so looking forward to it. So yeah, adios, guys, and you enjoy.